Hello my friends, John LaRuffa here with another straight up solo, and in this episode we're going to take a look at the solo mode that just kind of came out for the Taverns of Tiefenthal. Now, this solo mode is the unofficial one, but it is by the designer himself, so I thought, why don't I give it a whirl? Alright, let's take a look and see what it has to offer from a solo perspective. And as a small little aside, a couple of people have wanted to see my collection of games, so I'll throw that in here right now. So you can kind of see, the different titles that I have acquired over the years. I've been in this hobby for about 15 years or so, so there's been a lot of buying, a lot of selling, different things. You just walk around so you can kind of get a good picture of the different titles that I like. And again, I usually try to sell what I don't play anymore, and so try to keep things moving, because as you can see, this is my space for games, right? It's kind of full, so not able to keep adding and adding and adding. Way down in that corner is Robinson Crusoe, so that's it. So anyway, now for those who've been looking, you get an idea of what I've got. Cool. Okay, and as usual, folks, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as it would really help me out. I'm trying to build this subscriber base up, so every little bit helps. Thank you. Now, this game has all those modules, right? And in the solo game, they say you have to play with modules 1, 2, and 3, and 4 and 5 are recommended. So I basically put all the modules in, and I think it works just fine to do that. Now, the mechanics of the solo mode have you setting up, if you use this part, with a variable setup, which I think is good, so it keeps the game from being samey. So you pick one of these cards, then you do the setup of your deck or your main area, depending on what you choose. And so then you set it up like you would normally do with all the modules, like I said, and the gameplay is extremely similar to what it would be in multiplayer. The one difference is that when you're rolling the white dice, you roll them all, then you choose two and you roll two more to kind of simulate that drafting uncertainty. And then to keep the card offer moving here with the different patrons, you roll a die at the end of that round, and that will basically cycle out depending on what you roll. 1, 2, 3, and 4, you lose those cards, they cycle. 5, you lose those. 6, you lose those. So that kind of simulates the opponent. So why don't I go ahead and I'm going to play a couple of turns, and then we'll turn the camera back on, and then I'll show you the gameplay kind of midway through, so you have an understanding of what you're doing as a solo player in this game. Okay, so we're a little more than halfway through the game, and I'll just show you a full turn so you get a feel for what you're going to be doing on each turn as a solo. And the good news is this is very much similar to what you do when you are playing this multiplayer. So the first thing you're going to do is move this, okay? And then you get a choice based on what round it is of a bonus that you want to take. Now I'm going to take this one because I'm very low on servers. So I put this over here on my draw stack, and every time you take a card, you put it right in your draw stack, so you're going to get it right away. Okay, then you start to fill your bar, all right, in the next phase. And we start drawing off the top of the stack, and these cards go in specific areas according to the rules. And you fill your bar until you have no more tables left for patrons. And then that's it. So here's one guy, he's got to go to table. All right, here's a noble. Now, nobles will stack on top of each other, so they won't take up more than one table. They're also worth 10 points, and probably one of the biggest ways to score points in this game is to get a bunch of those. All right, and I'll tell you kind of what these all do here in a second. Ooh, I got an extra table, so that's helpful. All right, so now here's another person that wants a drink. Okay, and that's it. So now at this point, at this point, I could decide I don't like this draw, and I could spend one of my mulligan tokens here, if I have any, and just redraw everything. I'm not going to do that because I have a good balance of some different things I can do for some options here. So my bar is full, and now it's time to roll the community dice, all right, like you would in the normal game. So you roll them, and you choose 2 to keep. Now, which ones you're going to keep depends on... Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I am supposed to also roll one of my blue dice, personal die, for this one. Okay. Now, which ones to keep depends on which of these, patrons you have out here. Because the dice, there's not like one number or another that's better. It just needs to match up with what you're doing. So, in my strategy here this time, I want to get some beers out, and I also want to get money. But I'm going to push harder a little bit on money because I haven't done a great job upgrading my bar yet. And so, well, I need a 4. So I can take the 4, set it there, and I also need a 3 here. That'll give me a couple of bucks. So we'll do that, and then we'll re-roll these. Okay, and that's what you get. So there's my 4 dice to work with, plus I have the dice on the die on this server. Now I'm going to go ahead and plan my turn and figure out where I'm going to kind of allocate everything. And so the different spaces do lots of different things. These spaces down here help you brew beer. These guys automatically give me 2 beer. When I serve a patron up here, I'm going to go ahead and get the money. This is when you first bring the patron as a regular, so that's like a one-time deal. He helps you move up on the monastery track, and then I can put some money into the coffer to take out some money. And then there's other things too. There's ways to store money. Dishwashers let you... They let you modify the dice a little bit, and you can also store some beer and things like that. So with what I've got for these options, I'm going to take this 5, and I'm going to put the 5 over here, so that way I can deal with the monastery. I'm going to take that 3, plop it up there, take a 4, put it over here, take the 1, brew some beer. I got this 3 right here that doesn't really have anywhere to go. I could put it here to get some more money. That would give me $8. Or I could put it here to brew another beer. Now I'm going to put it here because reputation is now assigned as far as this little spot down here. And I need more reputation to help, get more bonuses and such. So the way you do reputation is you count the number of beer and you count the number of money that you're going to make in a round. So in this case, I'm going to make $7 and I'm going to make 1, 2, 3, 4 beer. You take the lowest number and that's how much you move up on the reputation track. So that was 4. So I go 1, and I'm going to get that bonus, 2, 3, 4. So first thing I do is I get a noble, put the noble on top of my stack. Then I get a schnapps, and the schnapps can be used to power a couple of different special cards and things that happen. I've already used them. Once they're left to once and done things. So this person, that person, they're a once and done kind of deal where you give them schnapps and they do something for you. Okay. Then the rest of this is virtual currency. So you notice I don't have any beer markers or money markers because I basically spend them as I take them off. So the first thing I want to do is I want to just go ahead and spend this guy. So I pull him off. He lets me move up 1 on the monastery track. So there we go. Simple as that. And the monastery track doesn't really generate points. What it does is it gives you bonuses as you go along to upgrade your bar and such. And speaking of upgrading my bar, so I could either take this money here, which would be $7, and I could buy one of these cards, or I could try to spend it and flip over some of these different these different bar things and make an upgrade there. So if you have cards you can discard, like this one, it will get you discounts on this. So this would have been 8, and actually I could have flipped that over, and that would have been a better move, I think, than brewing that extra beer, but oh well. I'm doing this live, and sometimes you make, dubious choices. So I've got $7. I could also upgrade this. I think I'm going to upgrade my beer storage. And why am I going to do that? Because it lets me hold 5 beer. Also, when you upgrade, you always get an extra one of these. And these are 10 points. And this is the biggest way to score points in this game is to get those. So that's really important. Upgrading gives you some points and helps you kind of maximize your engine in better ways. And now I can store more beer. Okay, so I spent that $7. All right, so those are gone. And then I have 4 beer left I can spend. So I could either save them or I could buy a beer guy that costs 4. So I'm going to buy the beer guy that costs 4 right here. And when I do that, first thing is he's worth a point at the end of the game, like you can see there. Whoops. All right, we buy him. Then I get to place one of these signature tokens in my guest book, and lo and behold, I will get another noble. So you have this cascading effect near the end of the game. The first couple turns, you don't have all these things going on because you're not really, chugging through. But you have this cascading effect where one thing leads to another, and so there's lots of little combos going, which is fun. And as you can see there, I pulled that off. Okay, now I've spent all my beer, I've spent all my money, I'm pretty much done. So my turn's over, and what I do then is I just discard all the cards from my tavern. Okay. Everybody that I took out into the discard pile. And then I roll to cycle the market. 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. He pulls this card. This is a stack of 3s, by the way, so he never pulls from there. And then it cycles. And that is a full turn. And then you go to the next round. So hopefully that gives you a feeling of what the solo game looks like, because you're basically going to do that 8 times through the game. And that's kind of the round summary to get an understanding. And like I said, it plays extremely similar to the full game with all the expansions in it. So you're not really missing anything. And you're basically going, the way the game works is you win if you exceed 150, I guess, need to exceed 150 victory points. And that's not easy to do. So there is a win-loss condition. It's not just beat your own score, it's a win-loss condition, sort of. But you're not playing against an opponent. There is no autonoma to manage or anything like that. It's just this kind of game right here. And I forgot, I thought I saw myself get, oh yeah, when I took that patron, I got a schnapps. I knew I had something in the back of my brain. Okay, so that's about the size of it. Now, to score at the end of the game, you're basically going to score for where you are on this track here, whatever number you're covering, plus all the points on your cards right here. And I'm pretty sure that's about it. There's no other scoring that I'm aware of, unless I'm missing some of the rules, but that's how you do it. And that's the size of it. So let's go back and talk about what I think about this game. Okay, so one thing I want to make clear first, I forgot that each schnapps you don't spend at the end of the game also gives you 1 point. All right, with that being said, what do I think about this game from a solo perspective? First of all, I think it's a lot of fun. I think that it's light to medium light, with the modules all mixed in there. There's definitely some different things you can look at, and a little bit of a different strategy. And I've only played it a couple times thus far solo, but I've enjoyed all my plays. Of course, if you don't like essentially like a 1 victory condition, either beat the score or not, you are not going to like this game from a standpoint of a solo perspective. You're not playing against a variable opponent. There's no, it's very much kind of a game where you're going to put together your strategy, see what you can pull off. Yes, there's luck of the draw because those cards are coming out. The mulligans do help. Strategically using those mulligans, I think, is important because sometimes you actually know, well, I got better cards in the deck that I just want to go ahead and find those. I'm going to toss these servers away, or these patrons away, pardon me, no problem, and I'll get to those cards. And so I like the fact that this game has that built in. You can decide not to do that just for a bump up on the monastery track too, which is cool. So you have a choice, either or. So there's a lot of different options, but I'm not going to say this is a heavy strategy game. It's more of a lighter tactical play. You could sit down and decide I want to do something and try to do something. So there is a little bit of that, scenario strategy. Like, well, this game I'm going to focus on these things. Let's see how it goes. Because essentially, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. You do have a little bit of a variable setup, which I think is really good. I would never play without that. It's just good to have it start a little bit different, so you can kind of figure out what way I should be going with this now that I've got a lead in this direction or that direction. That's really good. And there's some randomness as far as which cards come out for the offer, but for the most part, they're all pretty much the same. There's a little bit of a variance in cost and what they do, but it's not like you're going to say, well, I couldn't get to a specific card that I was really trying to do. Maybe the one exception would be if you really want to thin out your deck. Maybe you don't get the deck thinning cards that come out, and that's just what it is. So you have to try something different. That being said, I think if you're a solo gamer and you like the occasional light game with some deck building aspects to it and a little bit of dice drafting, although I'd say just a little bit, then this is a great fit. I've enjoyed my plays. I think that you're not going to find a massively deep experience here, but you don't always need a deep experience from a standpoint of what you're getting yourselves into. I mean, sometimes you just don't feel like that kind of game. And so this would be one that you'd play. It plays really quickly. Definitely in the solo game, you shouldn't be taking over 45 minutes unless you're, really pondering your options. So it's quick to play. Setup's a little bit longer, but I think if you take all of your components for that board, because they're all modular and they're all like puzzle-like, you put that into a bag. It's easy. You grab a bag, set it all up. It's quicker. And so you can probably speed up the setup for the solo game just by kind of compartmentalizing your components. And that can make a pretty quick setup. The negatives on it, I guess, if you don't like luck mitigation or you don't like luck of the draw, that's going to be a problem here. Your plans are going to not always turn out the way you expect them to. And so if you don't like that, you're not going to like this. And I know a lot of solo gamers don't like, that heavy dose of luck. That being said, with those mulligan cards, you can use those that way, and you can always save one for that final turn too if you're really, wanting to get something out of it. 150 is a tough score to beat. I've gotten 78 and 90-ish in my couple of games I've played, so I've got ways to go, and I'm looking forward to figuring out how to get there. But I said, lots of positives here, lots of things to like. And that's kind of what I would do. I recommend it for those who are looking for a lighter experience with some variability, a bit of strategy, a little bit of luck, and there's effectively no loss of gameplay by using the solo variant, and it's extremely easy to manage. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Again, thank you very much for watching. Whatever you play in the future, I hope you have a great time doing it. Take it easy, everybody.